Good evening and welcome to welcome to Think About It Thursdays. This is from our Journeys of Faith Christian Cancer Coaching. And my name is Henry Dodson. And this is Think About It Thursday. Well, on these Thursdays, we talk about things that have to do with the cancer journey from a spiritual perspective that Christian cancer patients can anticipate going on if they want to transform that cancer journey into a purposeful journey of faith. And over the past few months, we've been describing this, or at least I have been describing this, and I've been using a lot of words, and we've had some images that we've had on our different social media posts. But I thought that it would be a good idea instead to also kind of plug what's coming up, but also give you a visual of what I'm talking about. So, to that end, this is a plug for both our Hope Over Fear workshop that's going to take place this weekend. And we've been talking about this spiritual cancer journey. So, as you can see, hopefully, and maybe you have to zoom in to get a better picture of all of this, but you see that there is actually a map here, a road map. And we've talked about providential beginnings, we've talked about the road of trials, and we are currently talking about the valley of dependence. So, as you can see, this is a thought out and mapped out journey that Christian cancer patients can anticipate going on. And we'll be getting into that in detail, when we do our Hope Over Fear workshop. We'll at least be talking about it. So I just wanted to kind of give you a picture so you'd have a an image in your mind of what we're talking about. We're here in that gray area where it says Valley of Dependence. And you can see the blue dots. We've been talking about each one of these points along the way. And we are down in that gray area talking about the Valley of Dependence. So hopefully that gives you some kind of visual context of what we've been talking about over these past few months and we'll continue to talk about on our Think About It Thursdays. So, getting back to Think About It Thursdays, the question that we asked you to think about for this Thursday was to think about how your heart renovation has made you more discerning of God's presence and purpose for your life. What have you learned about Him on the road of trials and in the valley of dependence thus far? And what are you motivated to do? And what is the purpose of doing it? So these are this is a critical point in your cancer journey, and the reason why is because you've been going through a lot. You had to overcome the shock that you actually have cancer. You had to start making all these plans about what you're going to do and who's going to work with you, and you stepped into that unknown cancer world. And as treatment started, you've gone through a lot of pain and suffering, and you've been challenged in many different ways. And then, not to mention, you had to deal with the enemy. So Satan is trying to take advantage of this situation and use your cancer and your pain and suffering for you to question God's character. And he's trying to drive you away. So you've got all these things that are happening to you. You have a little reprieve because God does intervene at times. And we did talk about these divine appointments that happen along the way. So that helps to give you some encouragement and hopefully inspire you to continue to trust in God as you go down this path. But you've been through a lot, and there's still more to come. But as you are going down this valley of dependence, as you are descending into it, and you're letting go of all these self sufficiency notions, these ideas and things that you had about what you would do, and you find out that you really can't do much and you have to rely on other people. there's a lot that's going on. So what we're asking at this point in time is to stop and think about all this stuff that you've been going through and try to make some sense of it all. And that's where we're asking these questions. Um, has your heart actually been transformed? Is it starting to change in terms of your understanding and your relationship with God? And as it does, as your heart starts to soften, and there's that the hardness of your heart that had maybe been around you, the scales, because of whatever reasons, it may have been the busyness of life, whatever, but your heart had gotten a little hardened towards God, in the sense that you were not able to discern his presence, or you could pick up on him talking to you, because you, frankly, you may not have been listening. But there's something about a cancer journey that gets your focus back on God, and you do start listening. And so as your heart starts to transform, your ability to discern God's presence and hear what he is saying to you gets better. And so that's the question that we're asking is, what are you learning from that? What are you getting from all of that? Um, what have you learned about him thus far? And based on that, what are you motivated to do? And it may be what you're motivated to do right at this moment. And it may be what you're motivated to do, should God bless you and you recover from this bout with cancer, and you're back, and you're back into the new normal things that you're doing. What are you motivated to do now, if you stop and think about it? Like, if I get out of here, or when I get out of here, or even while I'm here, what am I motivated to do based on my discernment of God's presence as I go through this? So we want you to think about that. And we also want you to think, what's the purpose of this thing that you are motivated to do? And this is what we're talking about when we talk about the beginnings of the formations of these life messages that can occur as you go through a cancer journey. And so we'll move on to our Tip Tuesday, where we get a quote from someone. And this is someone that I have come to respect very much and admire, because he's sort of in the wheelhouse of what I've been interested in. And his name is Tony Stoltzfus. And he is a life purpose coach, but also he speaks to different areas of life purpose. And this one comes about because we're going through pain and suffering. And he's the one that coined the phrase, where the heart is transformed, life messages are formed. And so the idea here is, as your heart is being renovated and it's being made new and it's being transformed, that there are life messages that are starting to form, things that you will want to say to others that will help them as they go along in their life journey, or maybe even another cancer journey. And these things are starting to form because of what you've been going through, and because you're able to listen to God and see what he's trying to tell you in all of this. So as you go down that valley of dependence and you get closer and closer to God, you'll start thinking about and hearing from him and learning things from him, and they will motivate you to do things. So that's the question that we're asking there. And the scripture that backs that up, that we have on our Wisdom Wednesday, we went to Romans 12:2. And this is a familiar scripture to many, but they typically only quote or remember that first sentence. But there's a second sentence that is just as important. And the scripture reads, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And that's sort of where people stop. But the second part is also important. Then, and it's that then, once you've had this renewing of your mind, which happens also through the transformation and renovation of your heart, then you will be able to test and approve what is good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. So what that's trying to say is that as you get renewed and of your mind, and that's also going to happen because of this renovation of your heart, you're going to be able to hear from God more clearly, and you'll be able to understand what is His will in all of this. And so that's what we want you to strive for, is understanding that this is what God is doing with this cancer journey of yours. He's redeeming it. He's taking it from what was intended to be bad because of the sin nature of the world, and because Satan is after you and all these things that are negative. God can still take that and redeem it for your sake and use it for your good. So this is part of that redemption of this cancer that you are experiencing, and how He wants to transform it and use it for your good. So I strongly encourage you, as you go through your cancer journey, to take the time to think about all you have gone through so far. And there's still more to come. But you're at a point now where, if your heart is open and you've really sought the Lord and you've gone to God to trust Him in all that you're going through, He's going to answer you, and you're going to hear from Him, and you're going to hear things that are going to reveal to you some of your life purpose. But again, that's only if you are seeking that. He's not going to just tell it to you if you're not interested. So this is why we say in part that you can go through a cancer journey, and God can save you and He can restore your health. But if you don't take time to really go deep, then you can miss out on what God is trying to do with your cancer journey, to turn it into a purposeful journey of faith. So this is one of those key concepts that I really want you to meditate on and think about, is this is where God can meet you in your pain and suffering and help you to do what He wants you to do. So again, we get back to the Think About It Thursday question, and that is to think about how your heart renovation has made you more discerning of God's presence and purpose in your life. I think I did. I'm not sure. Maybe did I jump over Mindset Monday? I'm so excited about the workshop that's coming. Maybe I did. But Mindset Monday, we did talk about heart transformation and the results there. But let me share a little bit more about that. And that is that God does His internal renovation work on us during the pain and suffering that goes on in the valley of dependence, and also along the road of trials. It's part of the pruning away of the unfruitful parts of our self-identity. The work results in us becoming more like Jesus in some parts of our character. And becoming more like Jesus is what heart transformation is all about. So the Jesus in us is what leaves the lasting impact on the people we come across in our lives. How we make that impact is driven by the life messages that are deeply rooted in our self identity during time spent in the valley of dependence. So I don't think that I actually got into that too deeply, but I wanted to cover that just so you would understand the importance of it, that as your heart gets transformed, you become more like Jesus. And you have a Jesus in you that's driving you to want to help others as you go through your own pain and suffering, because He suffered with us too. And lastly, I'm going to leave you again back with our Hope Over Fear workshop. This is happening this Saturday, this coming Saturday, in a couple of days. And it's for the Christian cancer patients, their caregivers, and supporters and loved ones. And it's free, and it's from 10 to 12. There's still time to register for it. So you see the QR code there. If you want to pull out your cameras on your phones and take that image, then you'll be able to go there and register. It's a simple registration. just need to know your email address and your name, and so we can send you the code for the Zoom session. So with that, I hope to see you there. I hope to see as many of you there as possible, because it's really going to be, I think God's going to have something special for anyone who shows up. And I'm excited about this. And I just want to help you. And anyone that you know that's going through cancer or supporting someone with cancer or as a caregiver, this is for them. So if that resonates in your spirit and you're excited about it as I am, then I want you to go ahead and do that registration. I'll put that up again. You don't need to see my face, but I'll put that back up again, and go ahead and get that phone out and zoom in on that QR code, and it'll take you to the registration page. And I look forward to seeing all of you there who are listening and are inspired to do so. So until next time, take care and God bless. And we'll see you next Thursday as we continue down the spiritual journey of faith that you will go through on your cancer journey. Take care.